A thin layer of snow clung to the sidewalks, reflecting the soft glow of streetlights like scattered diamonds. Most people had already retreated indoors, escaping the bitter cold. But Daniel Carter, CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country, walked slowly down the street, holding the small, warm hand of his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Daniel wasn't dressed like a billionaire tonight. No tailored suit, no polished shoes, just a dark coat, worn boots, and the tired posture of a man who carried far more than business responsibilities. Since Lily's mother had passed away 3 years earlier, Daniel had learned that success meant nothing if he wasn't present for his child. "Daddy," Lily said softly, her breath puffing white in the air, "can we walk a little more?" Daniel smiled. "Of course, sweetheart." They had just left a modest diner where they shared hot chocolate and pancakes, Lily's favorite. It had become their little tradition on nights when Daniel managed to escape the endless meetings and calls. As they turned a corner near an abandoned storefront, Lily suddenly stopped walking. "Daddy, look." Daniel followed her gaze. Curled against the brick wall was a small figure, no older than Lily. A girl. She wore a thin, torn jacket far too light for the freezing temperature. Her knees were pulled tightly to her chest, arms wrapped around herself as she trembled uncontrollably. Her face was pale, lips slightly blue, eyes half closed as if she was fighting to stay awake. Daniel's chest tightened. He had seen homelessness before, from car windows, from charity reports, from distance. But this was different. This was a child, alone, freezing. Before he could say anything, Lily slipped her hand out of his and ran toward the girl. "Lily," Daniel called, panic rising, but she had already knelt beside her. "Hey," Lily said gently, the way Daniel spoke to her when she had nightmares. "Are you cold?" The girl slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were glassy, scared, but still alert. She nodded weakly. Lily turned back to her father, tears already forming. "Daddy, please help her. She's freezing." Daniel felt something break inside him. In that moment, he wasn't a CEO. He wasn't a powerful man with influence and money. He was just a father, standing face to face with a child who reminded him painfully of how fragile life could be. He knelt down and spoke softly. "Hey there, what's your name?" "Emily," the girl whispered. I'm just resting." Daniel knew better. No child rested in this kind of cold. "Where are your parents, Emily?" he asked. She shook her head. "It's just me." Lily immediately took off her scarf, the pink one Daniel had bought her last winter, and wrapped it around Emily's neck. "Here," Lily said. "This helps me when I'm cold." Emily's eyes widened. "Thank you." Daniel swallowed hard. Without hesitation, he removed his own coat and gently placed it over Emily's shoulders. She flinched at first, then relaxed as warmth slowly reached her skin. "Daddy, can she come home with us?" Lily asked. Daniel hesitated, not because he didn't want to help, but because he understood the complexities, the risks, the responsibility. Still, one truth was clear: leaving this child here was not an option. "I promise," Daniel said firmly, meeting Lily's eyes. "We're not leaving her." He stood, pulling out his phone, already calling emergency services, not the police, but a local child outreach center he supported quietly, without publicity. This wasn't about image. It never had been. As they waited, Daniel sat beside Emily, shielding her from the wind. Lily leaned against her father, holding Emily's hand like they had been friends forever. Snow continued to fall, and in that frozen street, 3 lives, bound by kindness, began a journey none of them could have imagined. This was only the beginning. The warmth of the car felt unreal after the biting cold. Emily sat silently in the back seat, wrapped in Daniel's coat, her small hands curled into the sleeves. The heater hummed softly as the windows slowly cleared of frost. Lily sat beside her, still holding her hand, as if afraid the girl might disappear the moment she let go. "It's warm," Emily whispered, almost surprised. Daniel glanced at her through the rearview mirror. "You're safe now." Safe. The word seemed foreign to Emily. She nodded, but her eyes stayed fixed on the window, watching snowflakes melt as they touched the glass. The drive to Daniel's home was quiet. Not an uncomfortable silence, just one filled with thoughts too heavy for words. Daniel's mind raced with questions. How long had Emily been alone? How had the system failed her so completely? And most of all, what kind of man would he be if he turned away now? When they arrived, Emily froze at the sight of the house. It wasn't a mansion, but it was large, warm lights glowing from every window, wreaths still hanging from the porch railings. To Emily, it looked like something from a dream. I can't go in, she said suddenly, pulling back. Lily frowned. Why not? I'll make it dirty, Emily whispered. And people always get mad. Daniel knelt in front of her, meeting her eyes at the same level. This isn't a place where people get mad for being cold, he said gently. It's a place where people take care of each other. After a moment, Emily nodded. Inside, the house smelled of cinnamon and clean linen. Daniel handed Emily a towel and clean clothes, soft pajamas that once belonged to Lily but had barely been worn. You can shower, Daniel said. Take your time. Emily stared at the clothes as if they might vanish. These are, for me. Yes, Lily said brightly. And after, we can have soup. For the first time, Emily smiled. While Emily bathed, Daniel stood in the kitchen staring at a pot of soup warming on the stove. His phone buzzed non-stop. Emails, missed calls, reminders of board meetings and deadlines. He turned the phone face down. Tonight, none of that mattered. When Emily emerged, her hair damp and combed, her cheeks flushed with warmth, Daniel almost didn't recognize her. Beneath the dirt and exhaustion was a child who had simply been forgotten. They ate quietly at first. Emily ate slowly, as if afraid the food might be taken away. You can have more, Lily said, pushing her bowl closer. Emily hesitated, then nodded. After dinner, Daniel made the call he had been preparing himself for, the outreach center. He spoke calmly, explaining everything, asking for help, resources, next steps. The woman on the other end listened carefully. You did the right thing, she said. Daniel wasn't sure why those words made his throat tighten. Later that night, Lily insisted Emily sleep in her room. She can use my bed, Lily said. I'll take the couch. Daniel shook his head with a small smile. You'll share. As Daniel tucked them in, Emily reached out and gently grabbed his sleeve. Sir, she said softly. Yes. Are you sending me away tomorrow? The question hit him harder than any business crisis ever had. No, Daniel said without hesitation. We'll figure everything out together. Emily nodded, but her eyes filled with tears. No one ever said that before. When Daniel turned off the light and stepped out, he leaned against the hallway wall, closing his eyes. For the first time in years, he felt afraid, not of failure, but of responsibility. Because deep down, he already knew. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't charity. This was a turning point. And somewhere between a bowl of soup and a shared bedroom, a broken life had begun to heal, and a single father's heart had quietly made a decision that would change the future forever. The applause echoed through the grand auditorium as Daniel Carter stepped away from the podium. He adjusted his tie, nodding politely to investors and board members who stood in respect. Another successful annual summit, another year of growth, another reminder of how far his company had come. But as Daniel scanned the room, his eyes stopped on one face. A young woman stood near the aisle, hands clasped tightly in front of her. She was confident, well-dressed, her posture calm, but her eyes carried something familiar. Something that sent a chill through Daniel's chest. She smiled, and suddenly, the room faded away. Years disappeared. Emily, Daniel whispered, almost afraid to say the name out loud. The young woman stepped forward, tears glistening. Hi, Dad. The word hit him like a wave. They embraced without caring who was watching. Cameras flashed. Whispers spread through the crowd. The powerful CEO, emotional and shaking, holding a young woman like he might never let go again. Later, they sat in a quiet lounge overlooking the city skyline. I didn't know if you'd recognize me, Emily said softly, laughing through tears. How could I forget? Daniel replied. You changed our lives. Emily looked down at her hands. That night, I was ready to give up. I didn't think anyone would see me. But Lily did. Daniel smiled. She still believes the world is good. She's in college now. Social work. Emily nodded. I know. We talk. Daniel paused. You did well. I've followed your journey. Emily exhaled slowly. I wanted to stand on my own before coming back. I wanted you to see that your kindness didn't disappear, it grew. She reached into her bag and pulled out a folded scarf. Pink, faded, carefully preserved. I kept it, Emily said. Every winter, every hard day, it reminded me that I mattered. Daniel's eyes filled. Later that evening, Daniel stood before the board once more. I want to introduce someone, he said. The room grew quiet. This company measures success in profits and growth. But tonight, I want to measure it differently. He gestured to Emily. This young woman was once a homeless child, freezing on a street corner. Today, she leads one of our company's largest outreach programs, helping children like she once was. Gasps filled the room. Emily stepped forward, steady and strong. I didn't become successful because someone saved me, she said. I became successful because someone believed in me long enough for me to believe in myself. The applause was thunderous. Later, as the city lights shimmered below, Daniel and Emily stood side by side. You know, Daniel said quietly, that door you walked through years ago, it saved me too. Emily smiled. You didn't just open a door. You opened a future. That night, Daniel returned home to find Lily waiting. So, Lily asked, grinning, did she come back? Daniel nodded. She did. Lily hugged him tightly. I knew she would. From a freezing sidewalk to a shining stage, the circle was complete. Because one small act of kindness can echo across a lifetime.